really have to scream. Let him have it. Sure. Is that okay?
I'm 50, I can't see.
Oh. How about over here?
Thank you.
Everybody all set? Okay.
We as humans are all undeniably fragile, and yet we're also unbelievably still not.
See, we're going to right into the mic.
Okay. We as humans are all undeniably fragile, and yet we are also amazingly resilient. Archway Counseling Association for the past 20 years has been providing individual, family, couples counseling, along with Slate, our resource and drop-in center for the youth of Truro. This place began when a group of local individuals came together to address a profound need. A need to, one, provide professional counseling and resources that were affordable and accessible to everyone, and two, a safe place to incorporate their spiritual beliefs into their counseling if they so desired. There was and continues to be a significant gap between private practice and that of the public mental health services, which does not conduct couples counseling and often has long wait lists. Offering affordable counseling remains our #1 goal, though that does not mean compromising quality. We offer a sliding scale with our top fees still lower than the average fee. Session fees, though, only cover 50% of our operating costs, which leaves a daunting 50% fundraising task. While we have received small specific grants, we do not receive any type of government funding and rely exclusively on the generosity of individuals, businesses, and fundraising events. We are not a private practice, nor are we affiliated with any organization. We are an agency for the community. It is often a challenge to educate the community in what we do. Confidentiality reminds us the stories are not ours for the telling. However, I do have permission to tell one experience. Several years ago, I met with a client who was reeling from a sudden and deeply hurtful marital breakup. We met for 2 years, and in our final session, she shared a recent experience. She described a closed-in porch which she often uses as a shed, describing it as dark and unkept. One day she heard a sound and walked out to find a hummingbird, which had found its way into the porch. The bird was agitated and kept flying into the window in an attempt to escape. Not knowing what else to do, she calmly held out her hand, and to her amazement, the bird flitted over and landed on her open palm. She slowly walked to the door, and the hummingbird quickly flew to the highest branch of a nearby tree. I asked her, what was it about that incident that spoke to her? And with eyes brimming with tears, she stated, I was that bird when I first came here, and while I'm still scared, I have hopes in reaching my fullest potential. One of the things that I have learned through life is that not a single one of us go through life unfazed. We all have or will have something to deal with, and often those moments catch us off guard. To have a safe place to land is almost always imperative in surviving and regaining our footing. Slate is our youth program, which provides a drop-in center for the youth ages 10 to 18. The young people that come are often not involved in other activities and are often marginalized. There is no cost for any of these programs, with Archway assuming all expenses as Slate does not produce any revenue. When I asked Crystal, Slate's youth director, how she could explain what she did, she replied, quote, we see teens at their absolute lowest and at their best, cut to pieces by their own razors, coming off drugs, and wrecked over broken relationships. We pick them up, dust them off, and support them as they rise up. We see them land that cool job, ecstatic over a date gone well. We've sat in emergency rooms with teens and parents, gone to funerals, helped write resumes, taught teens how to cut vegetables safely and how to cook Mr. Noodle 100 different ways. We've assisted them in building their own computer, taken them camping for the first time, and help them understand the theme of the books they're reading for English class. We're a youth center, but so much more. In a recent study, 1 out of every 5 individuals experience a mental illness, but most what deters us is that they can't afford treatment and knowing where to stand, where to turn. Perth office has a staff of 7 and 2 satellite offices in New Glasgow and Lower Sackville.